the bracket as it stands. We will also tell you that the coin is a fixed coin. So if we take a look, let's say at the top end of the bracket, Lifecoach versus TailBot. As you see there, whoever is on the top end of each bracket pairing will be having the blue coin, meaning they will have first action in any given match. So who do you think's gonna win? We've asked you there. We've threw out the divination challenge. Now, don't ask me, because last time there was a divination challenge, I went 0 for 4 in the quarters. But gosh darn it, there is some significant lean towards TailBot here. And well, if you're TailBot and you're seeing this, what's going through your mind, Shinmiri?
I mean, if I'm TailBot and I see 88%, I'm thinking we can't lose.
You can't. You just doomed him. You just doomed him, Shinmiri. But
no.
Take a look at 88%. I mean, could be part of the fact that just some players don't necessarily know who Lifecoach is. Not to mention the fact that Lifecoach has only been back in Gwent really, and really chugging along there for about 1 month or so, whereas TailBot has been winning tournaments, very consistently for years. So, this doesn't surprise me at all. 88% leaning towards, TailBot there is really nothing that I'm surprised at, but it's hard to count someone like Lifecoach out.
I agree. I think you can't count him out. He is an amazing player, really smart guy, and always, from what I understand, he puts his heart, mind, and soul into everything that he does. So if he's decided to come and play Gwent at the highest levels at World Masters, he's going to be preparing. I know he's been scrimming like crazy, practicing nonstop for the past month, and he's been away from the game for 2 or 3 years. But if anybody can do it and pick it up in such a quick time to contest against the highest level players, I think it's Lifecoach.
Well, that's what you guys are thinking about these matchups. Why don't we find out what the players themselves are thinking about the matchups and their opponents? Here are the interviews with Ryan Godric and Lifecoach and TailBot.
Hello and welcome back, Lifecoach, to yet another Gwent official tournament. It's been a long time coming, but finally it has arrived. Gwent Masters Season 1 final is here, and you are taking part. I think the community couldn't be happier. So first of all, thank you for taking the time for this interview, and in general for taking part in this tournament.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be part of that tournament.
All right, let's get straight into it so you can go back to practicing as well. My first question is, you have taken a part, I'd say a rather larger break from the game, but you've come back now to take part in this tournament. So what are your impressions and your feelings when playing this new version of Gwent?
Yeah, the game became quite more complex with a lot of micro activity on the board or micro interaction. So beforehand, the Gwent I knew, you played a card and then whatever happened because of that card happened, and now you have to do a lot of micro interactions, which is interesting for sure, and also increase the complexity. And I actually quite enjoyed it a lot when I played it the last few weeks.
Awesome to hear. Now coming back to the tournament, specifically you're going to be facing off against the winner of the last Open and also a very known figure in the Gwent community, TailBot. So I would love to get your thoughts on the matchup versus him.
Well, I mean, it's not a secret that I will be a huge underdog anyways, since I have just played this new Gwent for around 3 weeks now. And I mean, what can I say, right? I mean, TailBot is an extremely strong opponent, and so would have been the other 7. So I'm not hit by a surprise or something. I mean, I honestly don't expect much from this matchup, and if I win a game, I'm happy enough. Yeah, that would be great.
All right, one final question. You've also taken part in different games. You've been very successful in all kinds of genres. So my question would be, do you have any advice for players that want to participate at the highest level of competition?
Well, usually that's dedication coupled with a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, and whoever wants to compete at the highest level in esports in any area has to have both talent and the willingness to put in a lot of hours, a lot of hard work. And those who do, and where this combination hits, they also usually can be very successful.
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time, and then good luck in your upcoming games.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
welcome back, TailBot. Congratulations on making it to yet another Gwent tournament. Well, I guess the qualification for this one is a few months or even years back, but it's finally time. It is Gwent Masters Season 1 finale time, and you're coming in hot from a Gwent Open win for the last Gwent Open in Season 3, obviously playing as your alter ego, but now it is time for the main guy to come back on stage. So I'm excited to have you. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time for this interview. And my first question is, I just want to get a feeling on how you approach this tournament. What do you feel like when you now are finally able to play this tournament that you have been waiting on for so long? And also, what are your thoughts on making it maybe all the way and your chances to win it all?
So let's start from the beginning. I just want to say that I think I have a decent chance to win this tournament. I'm feeling pretty confident. And when it comes to like how I feel, when it comes to emotions, I don't think I'm gonna feel much different. I don't think I'm gonna be more stressed than usual. I don't think I'm gonna focus more than usual. And also. Winning this tournament would mean a lot to me, because this is basically my grand goal at this moment. At first I wanted to. At first my initial goal was when I started competing in Gwent after 1 or 2 months. Basically, after I qualified for my first tournament, I set myself a goal. That I want to qualify for every major tournament and win at least one of it. And every major tournament meant 4 challengers and 1 World Masters, and I qualified for everyone. And then I also won Challenger 3. So I basically accomplished my goal already. So then I upgraded the goal to also winning the World Masters. So yeah, obviously, it would basically... Yeah, it would be amazing. I mean, it's even hard to describe. How would it feel? Yeah, I bet it would feel, like winning any previous tournament, but even more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what every player plays for, to win these kind of tournaments. But let's take it.
I only wonder who's gonna be the World Master champion after this, because we had Playable before, and now it's World Masters 1 after the World Masters 2. And yeah, who's gonna be the champion? I kind of wonder. Is it gonna be me, or is it gonna be the winner of this tournament or Playable?
Maybe we have to play another series to find out.
Yeah, maybe we should make a World Masters 2.5 to determine the champion after this.
Exactly, like a World Masters, for example. All right, enough of this brainstorming session. Question number 2, let's take it step by step. Your first opponent is Lifecoach, who's also quite the legend in the Gwent community. He's been here right at the start of the competitive circle, but he only recently came back to the game. And maybe some people expect him to be a little bit more rusty than the competition. But I think he's always good for a surprise, but I would love to know your thoughts on the matchup.
As you said, Lifecoach is definitely a legend. I have nothing but respect to him. I think he's very smart. He's very funny as well. I love his streams. He used to be my favorite streamer back in the day. But yeah, he also he didn't play the game for I don't know how long it was, 2 years, more than that. So yeah, he's rusty, and yeah, he had only 1 month to prepare. So I think it's not a surprise that he's an underdog in this matchup, and I'm the overdog, if you can call it like that.
I think we can. Yeah, thank you so much. One last question. I think this ties back into the first question a little bit, because I think we covered it just a small part. But what is your favorite part about competing in Gwent, or maybe in general in life, when you have a target and a goal, and what drives you to that point?
Yeah, that's a simple one, and the answer is the same for both Gwent and real life. It's a feeling of improvement for me. Like I think there is nothing better than the feeling of getting better at something, and that's basically what drives me to do things, to continue grinding. And yeah, if not for this feeling, I probably wouldn't compete in Gwent.
Wow, thank you so much. This was a wonderful interview. Thank you for taking the time, and obviously good luck in the rest of your preparation.
Thank you.
We know you're not here to listen to us talk. You want to see the games played with the best players in the world.
Maybe we can try to predict what these players will try to bring to game number 1.
Dear goodness gracious.
Let's go! Game number 1 between Lifecoach and TailBot. We are in!
Welcome back. It's Lifecoach versus TailBot. Gwent Masters Season 1. I'm Flake. Our premonitions were correct. TailBot is going to be taking that Arrakis list on red coin. Again, the best opportunity to push the weakest deck through. That's probably what you got to capitalize in a conquest format.
You threaten to win on even with some tempo, or does he just try to save his swarm for later?
Yeah, he's going to have to also find ways. Excuse me. You also have the Arrakis Behemoth as well to go ahead and spawn and boost some more of those drones. And you always have the leader charges, but those I feel are just exceptionally valuable for the most part. You don't want to just free deal those whenever they come through, as we do see the Fish Flapper.
I like Adrenaline 3 activates, which means he'll need to play Gerd with 5 or more cards in hand. It will no longer be highlighted in red, and you won't get the full row damage. You'll only get the 1 damage on the Siren that Gerd spawns.
The Dorgari is going to come in and go ahead and lock up the value from there, which leaves Coral on the board. Now, there is an answer for Coral. Obviously, you do have the Parasite. So if people are wondering, well, why would you waste the lock on that when you can go ahead and lock the Coral? Well, there's your reason, and there's your answer. TailBot had both answers in hand that he can freewheel. Not to mention, playing the Parasite also drops a drone on the board.
And we also see the Lambert in Lifecoach's hand. This is a big threat for TailBot, being able to do... he can actually, I think in this matchup, Lifecoach can actually allow TailBot to just fill his entire board and then just punish with 2 damage to pretty much everything on the Lambert, 1 damage to pretty much everything on the Wild Boar of the Sea, and then 1 damage to an entire row with Gerd.
And that's not a bad maxi there, given the fact that Wild Boar is the first draw. You'll draw 3. Mulligan is very important when you drop the maxis, just to know not only what's coming up next round, but where all those key cards lie. As we see Crimson Curse come through, one of Arrakis Swarm's very high tempo moves, and that the Blood Moon that is going to be taken away is going to scare Lifecoach out of this round. Take the pass while he can.
Yeah, Lifecoach, interesting pass here. Really showing the confidence that he has to be able to win a long round 3 without last say. We'll see if TailBot feels the same as Lifecoach, if he feels the underdog in the long round 3. If he does, he will have to push round 2, but pushing round 2 will be no easy task against this deck, as your swarm can just get cleared very easily as you try to build it up.
And that's a tough card to commit. That is one of the swarming cards, one of the board development cards, Spontaneous Evolution. They're using it this time just to boost the Knickers, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, options are relatively limited when you have a lot of the key pieces that you want for the rounds that matter. Something like Yennefer, something like the Behemoth as well. Those Bone Talismans, if you could manage to keep the board healthy and alive, that's certainly something you'll want to use to just maintain the board health. But I mean, we saw what Wild Boar of the Sea was going to be coming up. A lot of those big cards are...
There's no Wild Boar of the Sea in this draw, so Lifecoach must have shuffled, I guess.
I suppose so, which is striking to me because I feel like that is a game-changing card in this matchup. Lifecoach must be looking for something else. I mean, he must have just wanted that iced here, perhaps to just defend this round. He wanted to roll for it. I feel like, that could be a gamble. I mean, Lifecoach grabbing that Wild Boar of the Sea in this matchup. Worth noting again that the base strength of those drones being 1 means that Wild Boar is not going to get a second win or a second roll if any of those drones are boosted up by 1, if they're 2 or greater. But it's still a lot of points. He might be relying on cards like Gerd here, and he might be just feel comfortable with Gerd and Lambert to just make sure that he's staying alive in this round.
Yeah, maybe he feels comfortable with the level of wide punish he already has in his hand and values drawing the iced more so than the Wild Boar. I think that could be a possibility for Lifecoach's mindset. TailBot here, thinking about what he can do. He's going to open up with the Squirrel, very, very slow. TailBot here, thinking about what he can do. He's gonna open up with the squirrel. Very, very slow. Not really that many proactive plays for him though. There's no Arrakis Nest. There's no spontaneous evolution. Yeah, it's a really tough hand to push with here.
If TailBot is looking to perhaps 2-0, he's going to have to commit all his leader charges, but he's just probably feeling a little handcuffed here, given that he doesn't have the options. Not to mention,
it's just the gutting slash actually. There's
that's not so bad.
It's just the gutting slash. So TailBot is going to push, but with such an awkward hand to push with, he's going to be forced to take the Doldu lock for something like a Fuga. That's right. So he still has the option of passing, regardless of how much ahead Lifecoach gets in points here. TailBot will still be able to draw back up to the hand size limit of 10.
These are not bad. I suspect that probably the Heimei might be going here.
Yeah,
you didn't find any of the discard targets there.
The Scald and the Bear Witcher. Lifecoach's hand is almost too good. Bear Witcher is a very good card to keep. Okay, so yeah, TailBot decides not to push here. He just doesn't have the hand to do it with, just not enough swarm capabilities.
He's shaking his head here, a little dejected from the fact that he hasn't really gotten any help in terms of just setting the table here. The foundation of the deck is just not there. You've got every other piece ready to go, but you've got to have that nice firm base to go through. As Lifecoach, like you said, the hand is possibly too good. And you're even holding on to that greatsword because that's a great target to discard with Iced in conjunction with the Mask of Verobos. So again, here's some rags that he's picking up. The Yuta's likely not what he wants to see.
No, the Yuta he does want to see it because it's not Blaze of Glory. You're not discarding the Yuta from the deck. You're discarding it from hand, right?
And
so he's got both his.
That is a great bronze card to pick up as well. He's actually he's hanging on to. He's got 2 mulligans left, and you're completely correct here. The Utah is just 2 extra points of what that greatsword would represent upon the discard. You take but he's holding on to it in this case, I think, because you could get that full 10 points given the fact that you're doing a heck of a lot of damage, and it's a nice throwaway card to toss out onto the board if you've got nothing to interact with. Let's take a look at what he's got. I mean, Wild Boar of the Sea is gonna punish a big row. Lambert same way. Gerd same way.
Lifecoach has all 3 of his wide punishes here, and he's got to be super happy with his hand greatsword for like an immediate extra 22 points. And here comes the leader right away, getting all the ones on the board, and he's going to get that Bloodthirst 3. That's a little bit awkward. So
yeah, that's a tough one there.
Wartharg is actually a little bit awkward for Lifecoach because he has no more extra discards left. Because he wants to discard the greatsword, right, to get that 10-point body from the ice. Look at the score right now. It's 50-8.
Just like that.
Oh my god, that is a big tempo jump for Lifecoach, and that's a lot of ones now.
And this is going to be tough because not only is Lifecoach just slamming down the points, but he's slamming down the bodies as well, which could potentially just rob some of that yen value. Now, as TailBot just goes through, he's putting as many bodies on the board as he can. But now it's going to become a problem that if Lifecoach just doesn't punish these rows, he might run out of real estate there to get everything done.
For sure. TailBot has filled his almost entire board. He's got 2 spaces left, if I'm seeing this correctly.
TailBot's got to do a little bit of math here to figure out what is the most ideal way, or the ideal way to go ahead and use that card. Is it to consolidate points, or is it rather to just continue to push out bodies and keep the board as populated as possible? But like you said, that behemoth in the back row, that's got no space to get full value. Some space in the back row to get
they both have to go back row, and for that reason, I would have liked to see Lifecoach play the skirt in the back row. Yeah, TailBot has 2 units that have to go back row here.
So TailBot here going through, and he's just evaluating again. Bone Talisman is not going to take up any space. It's the Endrega Warrior. Place it between the Yen and the now exhausted location trigger. This is the tough part here is, okay, all right, so he's going to go for as much board spot as possible. I think TailBot is just maybe thinking that Lifecoach is going to help him out. Oh, okay, so the fact that there wasn't enough space to spawn both of those is going to pay for itself. So that's very adept.
Row was already full, so the Endrega Warrior that normally would spawn drones, 2 spots available instead of 1.
With the ping from the Brockvar Hunter, the extra vitality coming through that lead has diminished. TailBot is doing a phenomenal job of making it close.
It has diminished, but you see, Lifecoach still has his Wild Boar of the Sea and the Lambert, the two really big finishers. And TailBot might not even find a Bone Talisman from this Triss. Cool for Triss. He could miss it. I think it's a 25% chance.
Yeah, there is definitely some room for failure there, and we'll see if TailBot can pull it off again. Again, consolidating points, doing what he can, but Lifecoach, like you mentioned, has two immensely punishing cards, and really any one of these can be played last for a resounding effect.
Yeah, okay, so the Lambert comes down. That's 8 drones. 8 drones that he hits, so that's 16 plus 6, 22-point Lambert. Not too shabby at all, and the lead is back up to 30 points.
And it was going to happen that way. I mean, TailBot has
finds the Bone Talisman on the Triss. That's huge. Could this
massive.
Actually win it for him?
It's not the most that you could possibly get here. Again, he has been holding on to that leader charge, because if that card that he picked up, if he had to play something like Spontaneous Evolution, or if he didn't roll the Bone Talisman there, that would have rolled into, it would have been another organic, which would have put another body on the board, which means he wouldn't be able to play that last that last Wispus to pick up a Spontaneous Evolution, perhaps to boost a beast, or to get as much as he can going here.
Yeah, I think TailBot still has a Spontaneous Evolution left in his deck alongside an Arrakis Nest. You definitely don't want to be playing the Nest. And TailBot gives up. He gives up, knows that he's got no chance, and Lifecoach plays the Wild Boar of the Sea just for good measure, showing TailBot that he never stood a chance in the long round 3. So Lifecoach winning game number 1 against TailBot. 1-0 for Lifecoach. Did you guys expect to see this?
Might go in with the Pirates Cove, knowing that's the weak link against that Arrakis list.
All right, game number 2 is starting. TailBot is not elected to take the Arrakis list here on Blue Coin. Instead, going with his dedicated Blue Coin list, the Inspired Zeal Commandos, really needing that Cursed Scroll for that extra consistency. And we've got a Commando Mirror, Blake.
Well, we're going to see a lot of those, that's for sure. Again, not typically. I know that there's a lot of players out there that have been, refining and perfecting the triple commando. This is not the case. We're gonna see 2 times commandos, and talking about potential alternative win cons. Lifecoach's Inspired Zeal list. Obviously no Purify. It's not really what they do.
Yep. Yeah, there's no control in really either of these 2 lists. Because, even though, like you said, these are double commando lists, they only play Pavetta once. They don't play a renew per Pavetta. There are some lines that allow you to actually play a double commando list with 3 rounds of commandos. By playing a Dahlia onto a commando here, he can save his other commando, or he can save Roach Merciless, leave the copied commandos in the deck, and then pull them all out in round 2 for the first time, Pavetta them later in round 3, and play them again in round 3.
That's certainly an opportunity or an option. That is definitely something to think about there as we go ahead and pick up Roche Merciless right out of the deck. Why not? And the way that you want to play this, obviously, is you want to get that Echoed wheeled out right away, as Lifecoach wastes no time. Double utilization of the Inspired Zeal to go ahead, not only on the Roche to bring out the first commando right away, but then on that commando again to bring out his 2 buddies there. So everyone's at the party here.
That was a dangerous rope by Lifecoach to start off the match. But 2 leader charges is what he intended, because his list does not play like a Selkirk or an Onseus that requires, a leader charge of Inspired Zeal. His leader charge is just dedicated to these commandos.
That cloning factory going on there. It's like Camino up in here, and 250,000 ready to go with 1 million more on the way.
This is a big difference here in the round 1 hand quality. TailBot having both the commandos as well as the full test. Lifecoach, I don't think he has access to full test, because he had to Oniromancy for Roach Merciless, and so Land of 1,000 Fables has Amphibious Assault left, which cannot get full test. His using Land of a Thousand Fables to get Amphibious Assault to get a regular commando and not Roach Merciless, so that he could use the Oneiromancy for full test.
Every turn that you're trying to stay relevant in this round is being 2 a turn, and just tossing those back is going to be pretty nasty, as we're going to go ahead and pick up Pavetta off of the stratagem, allowing you to go ahead and pick up the card you want. So now being able to just have that card ready to go, another scout comes in and just, again, loads up the deck with commandos. And
yeah, indeed. This full test is really doing a lot of work here, and Lifecoach recognizes that, can make more, but I think the damage is done. Like, TailBot has 5 commandos on the board, 1 in hand. He still has Roach Merciless, and there's, I think, 3 commandos in TailBot's deck right now. So that's a total of 9 commandos plus Roach Merciless.
So is this a situation where perhaps you're going to create more this turn in order to go ahead and Pavetta them in round 3? Are you bleeding this round? What are you looking to do here, Shinmiri?
Yeah, I think TailBot might think about doing what I mentioned earlier, is like playing his commandos. Because he has 3 commandos in the deck right now, he can kind of play commandos in this round and then play commandos again in round 3. He can kind of go for the triple commando strategy. Where Lifecoach, I don't believe Lifecoach has any commandos in his deck. He's pulled them all out, didn't copy as many as TailBot. So I think that gives TailBot a distinct advantage in this game right now.
Playing is not going to get absolutely iced by what Lifecoach brought, but goal would be to eat that Amphibious Assault. I think you usually do, given the fact that you can come back on another card. So Pavetta's going to come through and go ahead and refill the deck with those commandos. Still enough to give Erland a nice, a nice beef. Really any way to just go ahead and get that out of the way. So we're just going to go ahead and, again, I don't think TailBot, there's no way TailBot's bluffing here. But again, playing the Erland here, buffing the deck, as we see immediately, we're going to go ahead and pop the order on Roche. We're going to lock up. Lifecoach doing what Lifecoach does, which is taking his time, assessing the cards, the situation. The time is given to you. Might as well use it right, and that's what he does. You see that razor focus. He's just staring through the internet right into TailBot's soul. And Maxi's going to come through just to sort of, again, these are cards that are, you want to play in earlier rounds, obviously, to just go ahead and see what's going on. But man, there is no hesitation from TailBot as he just goes ahead and calls in the cavalry.
Yeah, that's just half the commandos. There's still 5 commandos in the graveyard right now. So, like, TailBot hasn't even played the Pavetta yet. And he's already forcing big plays out of Lifecoach here, going for the Land of a Thousand Fables for Amphibious Assault. Will Lifecoach play his second wave of commandos? That's the big question.
Well, you're going to have to stay relevant here, and you're down by 32 points. He is going to, in fact, do that. The problem here is he going to risk using his leader charge, or not using it, rather? No, he's just going to go for it here.
And he's not even ahead.
Like, so that's the problem. Then that's a significant, situation here. If you imagine not making that massive play, how far back you'd still be. You were down by 32 points. Like it's the TailBot is just full throttle here.
TailBot is going to continue copying commandos. He's going to have 11 of them. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, he doesn't copy a commando. He just plays it for points. Ahead that the squirrel is too much of a liability and too slow of a play for Lifecoach to consider.
Boimir's another great way to catch up here. The Boimir coming through for 5 points, boosting the back row, but still not enough. Not enough. Card on a row for 8 points.
But he can get the squirrel on one of these commandos, I suppose. It's kind of like a small silver lining, but yeah, he's only taking the count down from 10 to 9, so I don't think it's going to end up making a huge difference at the end of the day.
Well, no. I mean, you're going to put all the commandos back in your deck, all 9 of them. You're going to play one, boost it. Basically, yeah, you're going to put them all in your deck. Now, there's another opportunity for Erland there, but I suspect that if you're going to be playing commandos, if with Pavetta like this, with all 9 of them, you're likely going to play you're going to play them. You're not going to leave them in the deck, obviously, for Erland to boost. That's not how you want that to happen. Well, Erland's a nice additional option.
Yeah, you will boost them with Erland before pulling the commandos out, but then you'll pull the commandos out afterwards, and you'll probably still click Erland in this round, as this is round number 3. There's not going to be that much boost on Erland, since there's only 6 cards in the deck for TailBot right now, and the commandos are going to get their value pulled out anyways. Lifecoach does have his second copy of Amphibious Assault, so he does have a Draug available to him.
The PFIs, I think, are what you're going to have to bank on here in order to actually get any drug value itself, because let's be honest, the first time you see a commando, perhaps, TailBot has control elements. He does have that Selkirk that he can play. Is it better to kill the full test? Is it better to kill the commando? You know, he's not going to be able to get everything he wants here, whereas TailBot seems like he's in a much better position.
Yeah, indeed. TailBot is the range row because Selkirk is the more important row lock card here. Selkirk has to go front row, so every one of his units, every one of the units that TailBot plays other than the commandos are going to go melee, and then the commandos will fill the back.
Now here's where it becomes problematic for Lifecoach, is as you see a little dipsy doodle on both of those, a little I scratch your back, you scratch mine situation with the Carrick Marine and the Radovid's Royal Guard. Now those are significantly out of reach. You're only killing the Pavetta with what you got on the board, which means you're going to create only one more option, which means if you're looking to cannibalize your own Revenants to create more, as we see that's what's happening here, he's going to have to sort of curate that back row to just maximize the value. It's going to take some creative accounting to get as much value as you possibly can, but it is possible. You don't have to kill everything just now, as Lifecoach is just maximizing those ping values at the moment, as it were. But TailBot did a very good job of just protecting front row against a massive wave of those Revenants. But as you see, Lifecoach, that's just what he did with the orders. He still has to play a card, but he did create and make up significant ground just by those Revenants, smacking each other around a little bit.
Right. And Lifecoach effectively turned all his 1-point Revenants.
Lifecoach used both his two inspired zero charges in round one, a round in which he lost. As you see, there's the first one coming through from TailBot, and dire situation for Lifecoach. The resources at his within reach for him to use are not necessarily as great. That is going to be a so-so Scytheman. It's going to be all right. But he does have, what's worth noting here is he does have a siege ladder. So he can go ahead and move one of those units out of the row to create more space for those Revenants to go ahead and continue to spawn and multiply.
Sure, but TailBot has done a wonderful job of just not playing any low-strength units, not allowing these Revenants to really copy themselves very easily. The only thing Lifecoach can do here is kill this 5-point Pavetta to get one Revenant, and then you're going to have one active Revenant left and no way to really copy that one.
I suspect that there's no situation necessarily where you're going to give that option to Lifecoach to just punish that play.
Exactly. So the Lambert here, without the last day, the Lambert isn't even doing anything. It's actually playing for an 8-point card. Whereas if Lifecoach did have last say, his Lambert would be playing for 18 plus 6, so like 24. 16 more extra points if he had last say. The score looks close right now. Lifecoach with a 1-point lead before playing his last card, but we all know what's waiting in the deck.
Nothing, given the fact that Lifecoach's options are relatively limited. The strategy that he employed here was quite technically sound. Unfortunately, TailBot was very aggressive early, got some cards out, set up his board a lot more efficiently than Lifecoach did. And, one Lyrian Scytheman is not necessarily going to punch your ticket through this game, but TailBot is going to probably... No, he's absolutely going to come
I think
through
the
here.
biggest difference was Lifecoach not having access to full test in round 1 based on the way that he used his Oniromancy. And here we have it, 101 Dalmatians, 101 Commandos for TailBot with the massive victory. TailBot ties up the series 1-1. We've got ourselves a match.
Major threats. Things like Tin Boy, like you said, an expensive but immensely impactful card to play. But also something like Horson Jr. You fill the bank, you drop Horson Jr., and you can just go to town cleaning up the board. As TailBot again on red coin, leaning on that advantage, that potential last day advantage that he's hoping for. But Lifecoach does have tools in his arsenal, as we already see Tin Boy just chomping at the bit. It's there, it's ready to go. Now, unfortunately for Lifecoach, a card like Professor in this matchup isn't really going to be all that fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be okay. It's really just going to be okay. There's not much to remove.
the Archospore as well. But it's going to be and there comes the boat
to get value from Horson Jr. But Horson Jr. isn't that great of a punish for Arachaswarm.
Of the Archospore to the tournament scene, friends. There he is. Now here's the power of Pirates Cove. Being able to just spawn a Jackal before you even go ahead and gain coins is a nice way. Clicking a lot here. We're gonna go ahead and see what we can find. I believe that was Eavesdrop.
Eavesdrop,
played by Lifecoach here. He's gonna decide what he wants to toss back. I don't think poison is something that you want to have in your hand, and that was it. Fistek gets tossed back into the Pontar.
This is very committal from Lifecoach here, though.
A little bit of stress pumping through those veins right now as TailBot seems a little bit better off-suited. Again, this is a complete 180 from what we saw in Game 1, where TailBot was just lacking these options to.
TailBot can just pass whenever he wants here. So.
Whoa!
What is happening? Is Lifecoach okay? So Lifecoach must be worried about the Heatwave. Because TailBot has some control in his Arachaswarm list. He has a Heatwave, he has a Doragary, and Lifecoach just doesn't want all of his points to get eaten up by a Heatwave. But this is insane overcommitment, I think.
I mean, he's got options. I think he might just be banking on the fact that, you know what, this is a massive committal. And you're on blue coin.
Could he be trying to tempo pass here?
That's what I'm thinking might be tools, and he's not going to be able to bleed in round 2. So Lifecoach buying this round, and as you see here, Lifecoach is looking at this. He's like, okay, he's still playing, and that's relatively low tempo. That's only 8 points coming through here from TailBot. So my goodness, what is that?
An instant pass from Lifecoach that he feels like he doesn't need any leader charges in round 3. It's not going to be that hard for TailBot to get 30 points back here, because he's going to be able to play 3 cards uncontested.
35 points.
If TailBot gets ahead by the time he plays down to 4 cards.
By, I believe, 11. So he needs a decent amount of points here to get this done, as he's going to play the location.
I'm a little bit confused by the
That seems like it's not enough.
Oh, no, it's enough.
Just enough, my bad. Okay.
It's enough, but why play the location instead of a Chimera from hand is my question.
Well, yeah,
because he's down to 4 cards. He can't play anything in round 2, so he doesn't have the option of clicking the location. So usually the location would be better in round 3, but maybe he's thinking that the location, the artifact itself, takes up a space on the board, so that he'd rather have the Chimeras that don't take up any space.
Lifecoach is just drawing in, bomb after bomb after bomb. You pick, then again, you have Horst. You've got you all. The brothers are all there. Lifecoach is feeling really strong here, and I mean, if I see TailBot click that button, I am worried for his well-being. But no, that maybe that wasn't the right move. But
rather than greedily swarm out the board, something like, let's say TailBot
onto here for sure. Like you said, putting the pressure of just bleeding a 1-point drone paints TailBot into a corner where he has to respond to protect those units. There is Gellert. There's a location as well. Sewer Raiders coming through, and it's looking
not what you really want to
see.
The Sewer Raiders is not really what you want to see right now, because I mean, it could potentially end up being a brick if you hold on to this and mulligan something else.
All right.
You would rather have had the thinning earlier.
1 mulligan left. I mean, you toss away a poison is certainly one way to get the job done.
Confident that he decides to respond here. If TailBot's got a plan, he's gonna. Looks like he's going to forego the Blood Moon, the Crimson Curse for now, and just start swarming the board.
I think that's a perfectly safe play to make here. Now, again, no Laka de Jaka, as there's so many, just the power of a card like Horson Jr. It is so good. You're never losing value off of it, even if you're over damaging a unit.
Yeah, using the Horson Jr. to kill a 1 to get 5 coins for the over damage brings him straight up to 9 coins, gets the Flying Redanian out, and Lifecoach has 5 units on the board, so diminishing potentially like an early Yen play from TailBot.
Lifecoach is going to keep in the back of his mind. He wants to make sure that he's in that range where Tin Boy is going to be able to pay his tribute to just punish the entire board. Again, There's 18 units on the board, each taking 2 damage. It's 36 damage plus the 4 points of body. A 40-point card for 12 provisions, Shadmiri, and this is that sweet spot, that deck that it's looking to punish, and it might be able to just go the distance and just crush everything.
All right, TailBot electing to lock the horse and no fee shenanigans for Lifecoach. Cannot use the horse to kill any of these drone bodies anymore. Lifecoach spending a couple coins, and it is it's getting close to the point where you kind of have to play the Blindheim brothers, because Gellert does have adrenaline. You want to play the Gellert before he's in the Jacques multiple times and gain 2 coins for all your troubles.
Now, I don't think so. If you're poisoning your own Jacques, I believe that you're not going to gain the coins from the Roland ability.
That's
as
true.
Korathi Heatwave here is taking out the Roland again, a nice engine piece to 1 conversion rate, which is the best you're going to get. But you're also gaining a coin on top of that. So you're gaining a coin boost by 2. It is the best trade deal in history, as we see Gellert comes through and does what Gellert needs to do, which is go ahead and boost the whole board, poison everyone. You can only do, obviously you're not going to kill your own unit, but might as well use the coins as they exist here. As we see, there are still enough coins in the bank for Lifecoach to get a full Tin Boy.
Cost Tribute 1 as well. You could also consider...
That's definitely there's a lot of versatility in that card. Triss comes through here. Now there's a lot more pollution into what Triss could potentially offer you. It's going to be a spontaneous evolution. That's what you want to see if you're TailBot here. It could have been a Fist Tech. It could have been a Dip in the Pontar. These are really bad coins if that's how you want to spend your money.
That's true. Lifecoach is going to take the guaranteed 4 coins. Doesn't want
to do here. Now, we need to keep in mind that he does want to make sure that Tin Boy does hit the tribute. You got to empty the bank here. Everything goes into dog coin in this case if you're Tin Boy, if you want to make a splash.
So TailBot taking the early yen 3 minimum so that Lifecoach cannot wipe the board with the Tin Boy.
Right.
Or wipe a row.
Yeah, and TailBot is eventually going to have to start keeping in track. In TailBot's mind, he's looking at the coin total, knowing that Tin Boy is going to be his worst nightmare, and you want to make sure that you can get as much value before that's kind of, those hopes and dreams are just squashed. It's a tough go here for TailBot, down 20 points, but there's still a lot of points to come as you have 2 Chimeras and 2 Bone Talismans with the Behemoth coming through to repopulate some of these units.
And he's got payoff after payoff after payoff for his Swarm. And Lifecoach only has really 1 punish, right?
Right, there is the punish.
The Tin Boy.
And follow up with the Fist Tech right after to kill that 8 points.
I think he's waiting for the Chimeras and hoping that the Chimeras are going to be bigger than that 8-point or 9-point Doragary.
All right, we've got the 5 coins.
Every turn, Lifecoach is getting 4 points per coin. By poisoning the Salamander Abomination, you're spending 1 coin to self-poison. Gellert is giving you 2 boosts, and the Salamander Abomination is boosting by 2 as well. 4 points a coin now. With a combination of 2 cards.
It does some really nasty things, I tell you. I mean, the combinations, obviously, they work in pairs, the Blindheim brothers, the Borsodi brothers, but this deck has so much payoff when it can stick out here.
He's going to have to save those 8 coins if he wants to tribute the Tin Boy, so Lifecoach decides not to use any fee.
Right, so you got to assess here what's the best way to do this, and obviously I feel like using the coins on a full swipe here. Now, he is over-profiting a little bit over here.
There's the Tin Boy, swipes both rows up 30 points, and Lifecoach with a sigh of relief there, if you see in the camera, does manage to win the long round 3 even after that massive overcommit in round 1. Well, doesn't look like such an overcommitment anymore now, does it, Flake?
Coins, I'm not going to keep those Sea Jackals as a crutch to do so because they might eat a Heatwave later anyways, right? So think about it this way: if you're going to efficiently spend those coins on the Sea Jackal in round 3, it's going to catch a Heatwave, possibly because it's going to be super tall. Plus, you had other ways to spend the coins. We saw how it happened. I mean, I don't need to explain this. Lifecoach is a brilliant card player.
And Lifecoach on match point now, up 2-1. Needs to get a win with his Inspired Zeal. Land of 1,000 Fables list. He's on red coin here. I think he likes to see the red coin with this deck because he has the additional consistency tools like Land of 1,000 Fables, like Oniromancy. He doesn't care as much about having the Cursed Scroll for consistency, and red coin affords him the possibility of threatening to win on even.
Trying to look at control opportunities here for TailBot to be that full test.
Yeah, but TailBot does not have Horson Jr. In fact, he has Vivaldi Bank, which you could technically try to dig for Horson Jr., but I don't know if he's willing to use that in round 1 without even a guarantee of getting that Horson.
And look at that, we saw this again. We saw this before, rather. Lifecoach is using both of those leader charges was going to go. It's a tough thing to look at when you're not playing. If you're not playing a leader ability like
a tutor for a tutor for a tutor.
I mean, they did play in beta. This was Lifecoach was a beta player. I mean, tutors into tutors into tutors was essentially the identity of Gwent for a while here as we go get a
Is that on the bingo? Is that on the bingo chart anywhere today? 3 tutors.
It should be. It absolutely should. Tutors into tutors into tutors.
Oniromancy into Land of 1,000 Fables into Amphibious Assault to get a Centurion Knight. This is not a card that you see very often. A 4 provision Northern Realms bronze that does 2 damage and gives himself vitality if you get a death blow. Cleaning up that tax collector very nicely.
Now, this is going to be a tough answer over here. How are you going to kill that? With 1 card, it's going to put a body on the board. It fixes or helps establish and reinforce the strategy you're already going with here. As we see, there is
a cooldown adrenaline effect of Gellert first.
The problem with that is that if you're going to be poisoning the full test, you have no payoff in terms of coin of taking a pass. I mean, the tempo on that would have been bad. I mean, this might be the pass for Lifecoach. We'll see. I mean, that
can potentially get him an extra copy of Commandos. I think that he's going to keep playing here. At least copy that Commando an extra time. See if this is a bluff or not with the poison, and then decide afterwards. And look, this row is already full. He's got 7 Commandos on the board with,
but you're getting full reach into your deck if necessary. The Lifecoach is just going to go for it, and that's perfectly fine. But Voimir I feel like that's a big card to commit on such a favorable position to be in.
Mm-hmm. He already had a big lead, and it just made the lead even. He's not happy. It seems like he's not satisfied with just losing the round up 2 cards and having card advantage. But he's running out of things to play. Can't play the Pavetta
here, and down a significant
Looks like TailBot's gonna go for the DSE. Oh no, not DSE Ray. Go for the Congregate to get. Oh, that's a lot of points. The Congregate, the Fallen Knights are really showing their value here. Congregate normally just being a 6 for 4. That's 8 extra points from the Fallen Knights that he got there. So TailBot is able to win round 1 down 2 cards. Let's see what he does with this round control.
Picks up Jacques, still does have the Professor in hand. Ewald Bersodi, Mutant Maker, and the Vivaldi Bank. Lifecoach has a myriad of options. I don't know if that Squirrel is necessary, as it does get pitched away.
Mm-hmm. Given the fact that there's no flying Redanian in this.
No Redanian. Your only target is basically DSERA, and we haven't seen that yet. So
that hasn't been played yet. So he doesn't foresee getting value from it. And TailBot actually pushing down 2 cards.
Well, that's on the bingo, friends.
Playing Commandos in this round if he can help it. So if he can maybe defend this round with like a Draug, because he has that land of those for round 3.
He's gonna go ahead and make that choice right now, because if TailBot does elect to
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Whoa, both Borsodi brothers coming down one after the other, not waiting for the first one to go into the graveyard, because TailBot just needs to play. I guess he's planning on playing most of his cards here, setting up for that Professor.
He's just peering through the game down at TailBot, trying to figure out what he's doing. But he's got a plan, and the PFI ×2 is a great way, like you said, Shadmiri, to just populate the board very efficiently here.
Yeah, and then you could also bleed. You could bleed the ones to force the Draug this turn.
Well, he's going to have to make a decision here. I think playing the PFI is correct. It's an extra body. You're losing those bodies, sure. But it's also the fact that, okay, like, yeah, those go poof. No problem. You're still winning on your next card, I believe. Oh, no, Drog's not going to be enough. You might actually have to use a leader charge on a pass here if TailBot does so, but...
Ooh, and that would be expensive for sure. But TailBot's going to keep going. TailBot, like, I think at this point, TailBot has accepted the fact that if he doesn't get commandos out of Lifecoach in round 2, he will not be winning round 3. Because there's just too many commandos to contest with. To see what's left there, the Draug does come down here, getting extra value from transforming the 2 bleeds. Has 4 Revenants and a couple of 1s. Still 12 points behind, though.
Lambert looking a little shaky here because there aren't any of those Firesworn on the board. None of those tokens are really appearing. You do have the 3 strength, 1 armored, but that just basically robs the value out of what Lambert would otherwise do. But here it comes. He's already playing it.
No, wait. Just 1 charge to get to 8 coins to give himself some consistency on finding Horson Jr. Awesome play here. Able to erase these Revenants, 2 of the Revenants. And he has the choice of erasing all of them if he wants to.
Well, he could bleed 1, because there's no real easy way for Lifecoach to get it done here, because there's no way to just tailor a 1 damage situation. Lambert is going to kill something or bring something down to 2, like Horst. I'm trying to think of how this can happen. Lifecoach is probably going to have to dig in with the Owneromancy. What can he find here?
He can take commandos if he wants. He can take Erland, potentially. He's going to go with commandos. I don't know. He did this very quickly. 38 points is a lot, though. But, I mean, Lambert's 12, so you've got 26 left. And Scytheman is not very much because you've got no units on the board. So I think Lifecoach might have made the only decision possible to get ahead here to use commandos. And TailBot's got to be pretty happy to see this.
Well, at that juncture where you're at, I mean, take a look at this. TailBot did make a favorable bleed here because are we going to see those commandos again?
No, we're not going to see the commandos again.
So let's just evaluate what TailBot got out of them. We've got Drog gone. Land of 1,000 Fables combo is now wiped out. You've basically eliminated the threat of commandos.
Lifecoach needs the final leader here too to get enough points to play the Scytheman. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're spot on here. And that Land of 1,000 Fables is kind of just it created too much situations. But yeah, you're right. We're gonna have to use that last little bit there, the one last ping.
It's fine because the commandos are gone. There's nothing else that really needs the zeal, but you'd like to hold on to that 2-point carryover if you can.
But what does TailBot have left to hang on to?
Lifecoach has card advantage here. He'll have last say. He still gets to save this Lambert. TailBot has, I think, Grand Inquisitor Helvide. He's got Sacred Flame, and he's got DSE Ray as his golds left. But doesn't see any of them.
Well, here's the problem, is that if you're going to DSE Ray, you need a board that has all of those units on it already. Yeah. And that doesn't look...
Okay, he finds the Helvide. That's something.
That is definitely
something. The Helvide is something. So he got 2 out of 3 golds at the end of the day, and he has a little bit of swarm capability, but the Lambert is still there.
Lifecoach looking for some help there. That is a pretty good card, but there's not much... Not bad. It's points is what it is, and unfortunately there's not much bodies in the board to get much reach off of it, but at the same time, I mean, TailBot is going to have to put some work in here as well.
It's about the most points you're going to get. Yeah, Erland is going to be playing for 9 points here, and it's going to be the most you can get that's left in your deck.
I mean, Maxi's just 6 points. Erland, I'm wondering how many of those cards in Lifecoach's deck are specials?
There's 1 special, so I think Erland is 9 points. Siege Ladder is 4 points. Maxi is 6 points, so these are really, really low value cards. To get all of his swarm on the same turn that he plays the DSE Ray, right?
Right. Well, that you have to. I mean, that's the only way to do it to protect those points. You have to go ahead and do it. The fact that those Firesworn are coming off of fees, right? They're not showing up to hit immediately. There's no margin there for Lifecoach to go ahead and play that Lambert. He'll still be able to play it for decent value. Let's not Let's not, discount that fact, but check it out. That's the best you're going to do. Unfortunately for TailBot here, Lifecoach has a Lambert. He has come through. The guy who was just happy with winning one game has dethroned arguably the best player in Gwent. Lifecoach is back. Ladies and gentlemen, the fire still burns.
Lifecoach is back. Wins 3-1 in the first quarterfinals over TailBot. Who would have thunk it? And taking a well-deserved swig.
Oh, well, I mean, the relief, frankly, I don't think it's surprise necessarily as it is relief. TailBot is a phenomenal competitor, but Lifecoach is in him, in his own regard, a legend of the genre. And when you're facing a high-end opponent like that, obviously Lifecoach is a realist here. He's not going to be there and think that he's got a free ride. He knew that this was going to be difficult. He tailored his decks in a certain way that if they connect, it was going to be a grand slam. And he did do his best here, and it was more than enough, as the strategy that Lifecoach brought to the table was ecstatically beautiful.
And boy, did his strategy connect, getting not only Rakasworn, but also the Commandos and the Firesworn list perfectly planned by Lifecoach and very well executed by both players. You can only feel for TailBot, but we've got Lifecoach ready for an interview. Paul Berger is going to speak to him right now.
Hello, Lifecoach. Congratulations. First of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome, man. Congratulations. You wanted to win at least one game, but you won the whole series. How do you feel? Like, what's your first feeling here?
Yeah, it's pretty great. A big relief.
Big relief for sure. I mean, you were going against the favorite because, TailBot won the last Open, and people were saying that maybe you're the underdog, but never, you can never count out Lifecoach, and I think you just proved that today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Get some rest, and we'll see you in the semis.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, mate. Bye.
Thank you, bye. All right, and before I go, I also have a leak for you guys. The first one for today. Let's show it. Teleportation. This is a neutral spell, and the ability is reset an allied unit's power. If it's a bronze unit, replay it instead. Art by Anton Nazarenko, and this card has 4 provision, and like I mentioned, it is a spell coming with Price of Power, Once Upon a Pyre, our expansion, which is launching on June 8th. Don't forget that. There will be more leaks today and more leaks tomorrow, so don't miss that. But enough from me. Let's move on to the analyst desk and let them talk about this match.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the analyst desk. I'm joined by Shin Miri to bring you some of the coolest plays of the series. And right off the bat, I've got to say, Lifecoach's target plan really seems to have worked out super well. What do you think, Shin Miri?
Yeah, indeed. First of all, it's great to have you here on the analyst desk with me. Yes, this lineup paid off massively for Lifecoach, getting probably an ideal opponent.
Exactly, and the first clip I want to show is something that really surprised me, and as I heard, also surprised you, casters. Lifecoach in the Syndicate game on Blue Coin. He plays Dijkstra as first play, and then jams one of the leader charges, and 2 plays later he jams another leader charge and just goes all in, spends all of his coins. He just creates like 50 stats in 3 cards, man, and that's like an unseen commitment on Blue Coin.
I've never seen this before, and we've seen a lot of Pirates Cove on ladder this month, right? Not once have I seen both leader chargers come down on Blue Coin within the first 3 cards. I was legitimately worried for Lifecoach until I realized this is part of his plan to get so far ahead in round 1 that TailBot must go to a long round 3 after this tempo pass.
Exactly, that was a line that I actually figured out with Lifecoach when I prepared a little bit for the tournament with him. And we figured out that basically the Araka Swarm is so dependent on getting a huge Yennefer value, right? Yennefer of Venga Boys is going boom, 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 boom. I want drones in my room and just wants like that huge difference of units. But if you have first say as Syndicate, you can really effectively deny a lot of that Yen value, and you're just super favored in that last round with the first say. And the Tempo Pass also gets out some of the payoff that TailBot has in his deck. He might have to play like Chimeras, might have to play Talismans, and it's really just a nice way of securing that long rounds with first say. Moving
Yeah,
on.
excellent. Well played by Lifecoach.
All right. Yep. Lifecoach really that play was amazing. I've never seen something like that on blue coin. It's amazing. But yeah, the second clip I've got for you is in the long round of the Skellige versus Monster Swarm. I was actually super surprised when TailBot went for so many leader charges before his yen, right? He maximized his yen value, but when I counted his board space, I was like, no way this works out. TailBot is completely overswarmed.
Yeah,
but a really interesting play a little bit later in that round, and that is using the Andrega Warrior in a very unique way. Andrega Warrior eats both of the units adjacent to it, and if they are insects, it spawns new insects, 1 power drones. But if you use it on a full row, actually the drones do not spawn, because the drones actually spawn before the other units get eaten. So in this clip, TailBot managed to free up some of his own board space by using the Andrega Warrior in a very unique way and just clearing up 1 extra board space and being able to maximize the yen value and also play more units than he otherwise would have been able to.
That's a great point, because in this long round 3, board space is a real concern, especially with Patricidal Fury putting 3 Sirens onto your board in addition to all the units that you want to be playing yourself.
Exactly, and that's all I've got for you from this match. What an insane series. Lifecoach really upsetting everyone and taking it home against TailBot. What an unexpected result. But yeah, after looking at these deck lists, TailBot really had a super tough battle to fight and he did his best.